Hi guys, thank you all for joining me. So as to change up the Q&A, because we've nothing else to be doing in lockdown, I find it very difficult to read the questions off the paper and talk about them, the answers in detail. It feels strange talking to a phone and no one's talking back to me. So Sarah helped me out the last time and we had an amazing response. So now I've invited two other mummies that I've worked for, and just to kind of like, we're going to read out some of the questions. There was like about 90 in total, so there was a lot of repeats, so we've picked kind of like the common ones, and we're going to ask the questions and answer as best as I can, but also discuss from a parent's point of view. This is a relaxed chat. It's not don't go sleep training your baby off what you hear tonight, but it is to help give you tips and tricks and some advice going forward, that not only from me but from these mamas as well. So I'm going to let you know about me. I'm going to let you these ladies introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about them, and then we'll get going with the questions. Okay, Sarah, do you want to start?
Yes. So my name is Sarah. I have two sleepy stars. One is 4. He was Kelly got him to sleep for us when he was about 7 months old, only because I just didn't know about you, Kelly. And my second, Connor, is 2, and he's been a sleepy star since he was 4 months old, because that is the absolute minimum time that you can sleep train a child. So he's 4 months. 4 months plus 1 day. They're Connor's still napping, 2-hour nap every day. They're very active little boys, but love their sleep. And our life is in it, like, just absolutely transformed as a result.
Okay. I'm not paying you, by the way. So.
I know.
Yeah. And this is when she tells me she's having triplets. Cool. Siobhan, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've got 2 boys. I've got Finn, who's almost 5, who was just came out sleep. Well, he didn't come out sleeping. First 6 weeks were a nightmare. Then he slept. I had to do nothing, and I just thought, oh, babies were like that. So we were getting 12 hours a night and all naps from about 10 or 12 weeks old. So he was a dream. And then we have Usheen, who's 7 months. And I got in touch with Kelly, I think he was about 3 months old. We started the Let's Get Started. And he's great. He's been great. He does about 11 hours at night. I'm very fussy. I want my 12 though, so I'm back working with Kelly again. So he's been a little bit hit and miss around naps and around 6 a.m. wake ups. But on a whole, he's a whole lot better than what he was for the first 3 months. He had a little bit of reflux, so that was the first thing that Kelly addressed with me, because he wasn't crying, he just wouldn't take a bottle. So we got that sorted, and then he started stretching out at night, and then we did a bit of sleep training, and now we're just perfecting him. But he's not playing ball this last few days. We'll get him.
Don't worry, we'll get him back on track. His naps, let's just face it, his naps kind of went a bit skew ways and his early wake ups crept in, but you know, sometimes, but he has the skill. He's still getting a big chunk of sleep at night, but we know he can do more. So it's just a matter of tweaking, you know, and often it comes with like crawling and stuff, you know, and the solids. So you can hit these bumps in the road, and you're better off. I tell everyone, call me at the top of the slippery slope, not at the bottom, because there's less damage control for me to do. But cool, thanks. And Emma?
Yeah, I'm Emma. I have 3 kiddos. Me is 11, and I actually don't even remember what she was like. This was like a lifetime ago. But she was a lovely, happy baby, so no major issues there. Like, you know, she was just grand. And Billy is 2.5, and he nearly killed us. He did nearly actually kill us. And we got you, Kelly, I think he's about 10 and a half months old. But Billy has cystic fibrosis, so he was really sick for the first kind of 6 or 7 months of his life, and spent a lot of time in hospital. So with that and reflux and everything kind of added in. So by the time we got to you, Kelly, I was on my hands and knees. I'm like, I would have handed you for anything to fix him. But he's a good sleeper now, and we really like him. We're very fond of him now.
That's good.
Our third boy, Freddie, is just gone 1, and you came and saved us again when he was 6 months old, because we even on our third, we didn't even know what to do all over again because they're all different. So he was a lovely, happy baby that wouldn't sleep, and we didn't know what to do. So you saved us again. So that's my lot, and I love them all now because they all sleep.
You'll keep them, will you?
Keep them. We'll keep these lads.
Grand. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the introductions. Will we get started on the questions? So I've sent all the questions that people have sent to the ladies, and they're just going to pick the ones we're going to try not to repeat. So they're going to just pick ones off the sheet, and we will get through as many as we can.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll start because this one is, as you know from our WhatsApps the other day, close to my heart. It's about mixing two children together in the room, and that has not gone well for me at all. So baby number 2 is due in 5 weeks time. We're about to move our 19-month-old to his big boy room from the nursery. Any tips? He's a creature of habit, so I'm expecting there to be war. He adores his cot, and we have a toddler bed ready to go, but am I right to keep him in the cot and move that with him? I'm of the opinion if it ain't broke, but friends have pressured to do the move to a new room and toddler bed in the one go, but I thought he was a bit young. Sorry, that's actually not mixing 2 kids together. It's just moving him to another room.
Okay, so ladies, what do you think? Do you think you should put how old is he?
He's 19 months.
19 months into a toddler bed.
No way.
No,
Not a hope. No. Okay. 19 months. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to be having parties at night if you do that. Like, he has no reason to come out of the cot. A lot of parents rush to next baby's on the way, let's give the cot to, come here, go to IKEA and get a cot. Like, seriously. They rush to give the big boy cot to the next baba, and they put the older child into the toddler bed, and all of a sudden, you know, you're waking up going, how did you get into my room? Okay, you know, and then they almost take it personally because the baba's in the cot and that used to be my cot, and they don't have all the words or understanding, so they can't explain it, but they just know is the plain and simple. I don't take children out of the cot until they need to be potty trained at nighttime, because they have nowhere to be going. If there's a safety issue, they try to climb, you address it in that moment. Don't let it become a game. If it becomes a game, then you do have to go into a toddler bed. I sleep a lot of children, like 2.5-year-olds, who've been in the toddler bed too long, and I can't get them back into the cot. And that means baby gate on the door. And it's not nice, because and it's dangerous, because the further they go, the more likely they are going to hurt themselves. They're going to throw themselves onto the floor in a tantrum. They don't understand. A cot will keep them safe, but also, you know yourselves with your babas, like, you look at the monitor 1 minute, they're that end, the monitor next minute, they're that end. If they're in a toddler bed, you're going to boom, okay, they're going to fall out. So I would say use your older child's cot in the new nursery and get them settled there, and just give the next baby a new cot. That's the easiest way of making that transition. Sarah, tell us what happened when you were trying to join your boys together.
So Connor is 2, and he, first of all, so we put them together because the 4-year-old wanted to, and it was kind of whatever. And Connor, the 2-year-old, just kept his brother up all night. Ryan, screaming, Ryan, come here, all night, like torturing the poor child. And then Connor also is able to climb out of the cot. So we have to put him into 2 grow bags, back to front and inside out, which is like, honestly, it's like completely. And he still, like, so when we moved the 2 cots, he managed to put his hand out between the bars of the cot, lift it up and switch the light in the room on. I didn't realize that, you know, those like lamp switches. So he turns the lights on, and once he has the lights on, he's able to see the zips, turn the grow bag around, open up the zips. So we got out. So at 4 a.m. on the last night before I put them back in their rooms, I found him naked on the landing, where he'd taken the grow bag, the nappy, everything off, and was running up and down the hallway. And when I opened the door, he turned around and he was like, "There's Mama." And I was like, no. And he's like, let's party. Like, this is so much fun. And then I go in, and his poor brother is like lying in this bright room, like, what's happening? So I put them back in their own rooms.
Okay, that was an experiment during lockdown that you won't be doing again.
During lockdown, that.
twins, like what do you do with like twins that are sharing and there's one lively one, like there's one loose, and the other is kind of nice, mild mannered little kiddo, but they're sharing.
So, come here, I'm the wired one. I'm a twin.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Tigger. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning by choice. Okay, I can function on very little sleep. My twin, don't look at her until she's had 3 coffees in the morning. Like, don't even look at her. Okay, like my dad is ex-army and he'd come into the room and be like, up and Adam, up we go, swing the windows open, like, hi Dad. And she'd be like, I hate you. Okay, well, I've nannied for twins over the years and there's always one that's wired. You'd be surprised, like I won't name names, but they'd be standing trying to, we'll say, Bobby, trying to wake the sibling up. And they actually are able to block them out if they've been in the same room since they were teeny tiny. Now you might get, as the words come in, 2.5, quiet, sleep time, and they're like talking back forth. But that's nice as well, because when you put them to bed, they chat each other to sleep. And then when they wake up happy in the morning, they chat each other awake. But you do get one that's like, I'm waking at 6:30, and the other one could happily sleep till 7:30. But yeah, it's I had 17-month-old twins I sleep trained before lockdown, and they'd only ever been rocked to sleep. Mama was pregnant with the next one. She's like, I can't rock these kiddos anymore, so we had to sleep train them in the same room. But she said, like, after the couple of nights, they were like blowing bubbles, playing with their Snuggie teddies, much happier. But it's not ideal, to be doing it that late. But and I had 2.5-year-old twin boys, and they would only hold daddy's hand, so they put them into the big boy beds too early. I think the creche actually encouraged them to do it for some reason, but they're in the big boy beds, and dad had to lie on the floor and hold each hand, right? And he was like, I'm just like thinking of my dinner. I just want to go downstairs. And I was like, is Mammy's hands too soft, or what's the crack? They only wanted daddy's hands. But he was like, thank you so much. I got off that bedroom floor. Now for them, I put them back in their cots because it had been soon enough. I was like, where's the bars of the cots? They're like, in the attic. So get up in the attic. But yeah, so short answer, yeah. You won't be trying to put them in the same room together for a little while, Sarah, and don't be putting your babies into their toddler beds until they need to go in there.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool. Siobhan, have you a question?
Yeah, this is from Kira. Hi Kelly, if a 6-month-old only takes 1 or 2 ounces at the 11 p.m. dream feed, do you assume hunger at the next wake and offer a bottle, or might you push out the dream feed till later? Last bottle is typically around 6 p.m.
Okay, so I would be putting the 6 p.m. closer to 7. There's a lot of people that do the boppy at 6. They're going to wake up at 5 starving. Like, that's a long night, especially with a tiny dream feed. So I'd be putting the bedtime bottle a little bit later. There are people who do, the boppy downstairs and the bedtime an hour later. I'm like, you've just played your big guns. Like, what are you going to bring that child up to bed with? Okay, there's no problem. And I've been in this for 20 years. There's no problem with a bottle to bed association. There's a massive problem with a bottle to sleep association. Two different things. Keep them awake on the bottle, engage with them on the bottle. They don't go to sleepy town on the bottle, so they don't have to have the bottle to go back in. So for that, Mama, I'd say push the bedtime feed a little bit later, which then will push the next feed a little bit later, maybe 11. And no, depending on what that child is having during the day, there's no need for another milk feed at night, but we can only drop the 11 p.m. dream feed when the solids are substantial. So at 6 months old, start doing roly-poly, some start crawling, so they start burning loads of calories. If you drop the dream feed and the solids are only coming in and the level of activity is way up high, you got a 5:30 wake up with genuine hunger. Okay, so some babies drop the dream feed 6 months because they started weaning at 5. Some babies keep the dream feed till 8 months. Okay, and then
that's where I am at the moment. We're dream feeding, but she's doing 1 or 2 ounces at 11. Would you push that dream feed? And she's waking again, is what I'm thinking here. She doesn't say. So would you push the dream feed, like even?
I'd push the dream feed maybe closer to 11:30, the latest. I never go past midnight with it unless you're doing a reset of a body clock, or you're trying to, when the parent has like many bottles at night and I'm trying to break the habit, I do put a planned extra one in. But for her, maybe she needs to check the flow of the bottle. Maybe it's hard work for that baby. Like 6-month-old, if they're on like an Advent or a Dr. Brown's, it's a number 3 top. If they're on a mam, it's a number 2 top. Nook is medium flow. So make sure the flow is, if it's hard work, they're just going to take a little bit and go. So,
Yeah.
but also, I'm wondering what other ounces that baby's getting during the day. Is there a bit of reflux there?
Yeah, because we had this exact problem, Kelly. That's what we were getting. Now he was younger at that time, so we changed to reflux formula, and we changed the teeth. And I changed the teeth again last week because, as he said, he was getting bored on the Tommy TP number 3, so we went to Avent number 4.
Number 4,
and
yeah.
That's made a difference.
Yeah, they get distracted. Like, it's hard work. They're
Yeah.
like, oh no, you're grand and bored of that. You know, they're not full, but they're not hungry anymore. And they're like, what's going on over there? And you're like, especially, again, that's why we don't do the boppy downstairs, because to get that bottle in, they're like, they'll have a bit and they'll be like, I want to get out my sibling, or they want to watch TV, or their toy is over in the corner and they've got like, they're overtired, so they've a burst of energy.
There's no way they would be like taken here, like in the sitting room at 6 o'clock. Sure, they're mad. Like, there's no way they might get. There's no way.
Yeah,
I started to split that last feed though, because I'm only getting 4 ounces into him if I do it after his bath. So I tried to do a few ounces beforehand.
Do a little bit before and a little bit after to get the quantities in.
Yeah, 6 to 7 ounces.
Yeah, a lot of reflux babies have to do that because they're small and often they're not guzzlers. They'll often cut off at like 5 ounces. You're like, oh, I'd love to get 7 into you. So you can do small and often at that time of the day, but not the whole way through the day. Yeah, cool.
Did you answer that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it me?
Yeah.
I think it's sorry. Policy job. So this mum wants to know, at what age would you introduce a duvet and pillow? Cold weather and snow freaked her out.
Okay, so I bring in the duvet and the pillow when we're ready to go to the toddler bed to kind of teach them what end of the bed to sleep in. And a child can't keep a duvet up over them until about 3 years old. They don't understand how it works. And often with a toddler bed, what I'll tell parents to do is not to get a toddler duvet, to get a single bed duvet, because usually the toddler bed is beside a wall. So on the wall side, put loads of the duvet over and tuck it under. So it stays in place. If you just have a toddler duvet, you check on them before you go to bed and it's on the floor. You know, so if you've like a slightly bigger duvet and you tuck it in, then it's less likely to be kicked onto the floor. So I'd be keeping them in sleep bags until they're about to come out of the cot, and then be like, oh, I got you this cool blankie thing. Now you can still get, you know, the sleep sacks with the feet in them at that time, because you know they're going to kick the duvet off, but at the same time they're going to be going into the cot, so if they're in a sleep bag they're going to, you know, fall. So yeah, I would say just before you're about to transition into the big boy bed or the big girl bed.
Kelly, I'm a weirdo. I don't know if most mums are like this. I'm obsessed with the temperature of the room.
There's many mums who are obsessed.
Like the app on the phone. Well, the app on the phone says the temperature in the room is 20, but the monitor is saying 18. And I'm going like creep, and I'm like, is his nose cold? Like, and it freaks me out. And I know their hands are meant to be cooler than ours. So like I'm switching like the heating up a degree and a half, and I'm just like I know, like I'm obsessed. Like, but are their hands meant to be cool? Like, are they meant to be like? In like, the way we're in bed and we're really snug and warm. Yeah. But the hands are always cool, and it freaks me out. Like, okay.
The reason for that, when you're in a deep sleep cycle, your core temperature drops by nearly 2 degrees, but your blood goes into your vital organs. You don't need loads of blood in your hands. You're not moving them. You're not using them. You don't need loads of blood in your feet at that moment. You're lying down. So when they get moving, they'll get warm again. So if you're concerned, put your hand down their sleep bag. Okay, or depending if they're on their tummy, just like sneak your hand down there, down their neck, and you'll see if they're warm there, then they're warm. Don't go by the hands.
Okay, so warm. It's not like just, it's meant to be nice and warm.
Cozy, like, yeah. And you're right. Like they can't. We get chilly. As I said, our core temperature drops when we're in a deep sleep cycle. So does theirs. We pull the duvet up over us and we snuggle in. They can't do that. So if they're not in a good sleep bag, they're going to wake up. And they're not going to wake up going, Mom, I was chilly. Okay, they're going to wake up and be like, oh, here, give us a bottle while you're here. Thanks very much. So, oh, come here. Like, what did we do before we had the phones and whatever? You know, there's so many moms, and it's usually with the first baby, they're like, It was 18.5 last night.
Yeah,
It's all right. Like, it should be between 19 and 21. That's the safe temperature. But again, dress them according to your house. You're in a new build and you're in a sweatbox, then different to you're in like a little cottage that hasn't got insulation.
Sure, Kelly, when we were sleep training Freddie and I was on to you and I was like, Kelly, he keeps waking up at 1 a.m. and you were like, yeah, but what was the temperature in the monitor? I was like, 25 degrees. This was during the summer. You're like, what tog bag did you have on? I was like, 2.5 and a pair of socks. And I'm obsessed. You were like, please stop.
Child.
The child. And then as soon as I like took the sleeves off the 2.5 bro bag, the tog bro bag, and the socks off, like the child was fine. Like it was
yeah, I'm surprised he was waking up. I'm surprised he could wake up. You know, I can't.
It's so hard. Like, it's so hard to know.
Cool. All right, next.
That's me.
That's you.
Any tips on, this is from Adele, any tips on how you can get a 4-year-old to fall asleep on their own? Currently at night time, we're reading stories, having a chat, and then I wake with him until he falls asleep. Any advice on how we can set him up to fall off to sleep without one of us there?
Well, make sure that you're offering the sleep at the right time. You know, does it say what time you're offering the sleep? No. No. So, you know, it could be 8 o'clock. You know, a lot of 4-year-olds will go to bed happily at 8 o'clock. If they go too early, then they've got fuel in the tank and it's an unrealistic expectation. So find out where the body clock is. 4-year-olds are very visual and they love rewards. Okay. But the thing what parents do wrong is they get this reward chart with 20 things on them and they're like, it's overwhelming. And it didn't work, Kelly. You know, we tried that, didn't work. No. So go with positive reinforcement. Pick 3 things. Go down to your little Word document and get 3 pictures and 2 things that you know they can win and 1 thing you want to work on. Okay, so say brush the teeth. You know they brush their teeth. Tidy their toys up after they play with them. Brilliant. You know they do that. So there's the 2 things. And it's kind of near bedtime as well. So at dinner, you present this reward chart. So we'll say, okay, little Billy, you're a big boy now, and we've got this. Okay, so if you tidy your toys after we play tonight before we go upstairs, you get a star. And if you brush your teeth, you get a star. And if you go to bed like a big boy and you stay in your bed all night long, you get your star in the morning and you get this prize. Okay, and you get the prize. Don't talk about the zoo on Saturday. I know we're in lockdown, but don't talk about ice cream on Saturday. Get the prize. Get a bit of Lego, get something visual. Go, wow, isn't this deadly? You know, go mad. Isn't that cool? I can't wait to do it, but don't let him have it. Okay, he can see it, but he's not allowed to have it. Okay, so get real excited about it. And then go, so how do you get that prize? And get him to repeat. So I tidy my toys, I get a star. Very good. What else do you do? I brush my teeth, and then what happens? I get a star. Very good. And then what happens? I go to bed like a big boy, and in the morning I get my star and I get my prize. Okay, so that's a good way of and if he wakes in the middle of the night, so when you're reading your bedtime stories, you give a refresher 1 more time. So you're like, now little Billy, remember the Lego. All right, and you can have the Lego there with you as well, just again has visual. You're going to really enjoy making this. And how do you get it? That's right, you're going to go to bed like a big boy. Now I'm going to come back and check on you. Okay, and it's no harm to like go outside, wait for a few minutes and go, you're doing great, well done, a bit of, you know, but I'm not standing there. Okay, so try go down the positive reinforcement route first. And if he does wake up or if he does call out, give a little reminder, you're not going to get your prize. So give him 1 verbal reminder. If he calls out again, don't stress him out, sit beside him and do what you normally do. Okay, and give it a try the next night. If that's not working, then you're talking sleep training. Okay, but usually with that age group, it's that works very well. Some children, it's because the door has been left open and you're teasing with the outside world, and light interferes with the production and release of melatonin. So I would suggest that I was in the emergency service, I've seen some horrible things. Doors should be closed at nighttime. Okay, doors can save lives, but from a sleep consultant's point of view, or doors being open just causes problems. You know, little bit more, mommy, little bit more. Okay, now sit on the chair outside the door. You know, and you're like, okay, and you're like, how am I here now? All right, so closing the door is very important. If your child is afraid of the dark at that age, I wouldn't suggest a night light, but I would suggest, you know, those glow in the dark stickers you can get, the stars. Okay, I would say you put them near the bed somewhere. Okay, they don't give off enough light to interfere with the sleep cycles, but they give enough light for offer reassurance. So when you're reading your bedtime story, your lamp will charge it up. So when they say, no, I want a light, you do have your light, you have your stars. Okay, so it gives off just immediate light here when they're charged, but they go dim as the night goes on. So it's not enough to wreck the sleep cycles, because if you're kind of like, okay, I'll leave the room, but I'm leaving the night light on, you're just causing another problem. Just do a clean sweep and get rid of all the issues. So yeah, try positive reinforcement.
Like, how would you give it before you're like, right, like if you've a real sensitive little soul, like a 4-year-old who you've like rocked them or held their hand for like since forever, like how long are you gonna leave them up? Like, are they gonna have a week of like, this isn't working, like, or like
kind of how you sell it, and it depends on them as well. But they, you know, all children love attention. They prefer positive attention rather than negative attention. I really try to avoid sleep training that age group. I really tried to go down the positive route, but if it's not working, and sometimes it is, see, at that age, they can take it personal, but I've been in your bed all this time. Why am I out now? So, and that's why, like, when parents say we're bed sharing, we're like, okay, to what age? Because the older they are, the more difficult it will be for them to transition and for you to let go of them. So have a plan in mind, you know. So I would say give it a good whirl, really sell it well. If it's not working, they don't get the prize, because that, you know, they didn't do what we needed them to do. But also having a source of comfort. I have a family that I'm helping at the minute, and they were like, he loves to be snuggled up, you know. And I was like, get him a big teddy and stick it in there, so he's got like a big, you know, a big line to keep him safe, you know, just something like a little friend. So tick all the boxes, so you're not just going, right, you're flying solo, see you later, you know. Try and gear them up for what's about to happen. But if you decide, right, we're sleep training, which is a lot of marching back and forward, and it's not great to be doing, to be honest, but if you do it, you can't then go, oh, Saturday night, come on into my bed, because that's not fair, you know. So like, I've helped a 6-year-old who was in mama's bed, and mama was like expecting the next one, had been trying for a long time for the next one. She was just like, I really want to do this before this one comes. I was like, absolutely, because your 6-year-old's going to link that baby with not being in your bed anymore. So, you know, and that's tricky. So I'd say, you know, if possible, younger is better. Perfect. Cool. Okay. Who's next? Hit me.
I think I'm next. This is from Lainey Culla. Hi, Kelly. I could have written this. 15-week-old, waking up at 5:30 a.m. and not settling after that. Bedtime is at 7:30 and wakes around 3 a.m. to be fed. Good naps most day. Any tips for getting him and Usheen to sleep longer in the morning?
Okay. She says waking for a feed at 3 a.m.
Yeah, and then 5:30.
Okay, so for that's kind of slightly different to yours. So if that baby wakes at 3, they're being waked to fed to sleep. Okay, and that's a behavior that can grow. Your child has no idea what time it is. You go, oh yeah, sure, it's 3, I'll feed you. Okay, and what about 4 and 5 and 6? Okay, but when a child wakes for a feed, they fully activate the brain. All right, and when you do that, they have to then fully go back to sleep again. And the later that happens at night, the more difficult it is to get back into a deep sleep. So I would be saying plan a dream feed in before midnight to try and break that feed. Now, she might need to do a mini feed at around 2:30, 2:45 to break that cycle and then get rid of it. But 5:30 wake ups, we all have a 5:30 wake up, okay? So a couple of things that we have to check off. They're not overtired going to bed. A child who goes to bed in an overtired state wakes up early the next day. If you've got older siblings, it's very difficult to have quiet time in the evening because you've got your older ones who can handle a lot more and going crazy in the evening and running naked around the landing and all that kind of stuff. But so really from dinner time to bedtime, turn off the main lights in the kitchen and the living room, turn on your lamp, signal to the brain that the sun is setting. Like it's dark at like 4:30, 4:45. So we have a tendency to turn all the lights on, but then the brain's not getting the signal that the sun is setting. So kind of like start to wind them down really from dinner time to bedtime, not just the last 10 minutes. Wind them down. They can't handle getting overtired. Also, make sure it's not environmental. Right now, it's not bright in the morning. Soon it will be, but it is chilly. So if your house gets particularly cold, like we're talking about the temperature, boost your heating about an hour before that wake up to see is your child waking because of the environment, that it's cold, or maybe they're not dressed accordingly. Some children are dressed accordingly for bedtime, but not for what the nighttime brings. So maybe look at that. And also, don't feed them until around 7:30. So we wake up 45 minutes to an hour from the first time we eat or drink. If you always feed your baba at 6, you're training them to wake up at 5. Okay, so
do that though, like when, like even at that early, or what are you trying to stretch them a bit, or are you kind of just feeding them like?
So if you put in the mini dream feed to like at about 2:30, 2:45, that should push out the hunger habit. Okay, so a mini dream feed, and that'll get you to your 7:30. You can't go from, right, I'm just not feeding you from 3 anymore. There's a genuine hunger habit there, so your child will be hungry. You have to preempt it, reduce it, and eliminate it. But also, as a plan, start pushing out breakfast. Like, so many parents are like, oh yeah, one day they'll wake up at 6 and I'll give them their bottle or their boob straight away. And the next day they wake up at 8 because they had a party. So I give them their bottle or the boob. You don't have a strong body clock with that. It's very much on demand, which is fine if that floats your boat. But all the people who email me aren't looking for on demand anymore. They're looking for routine. So push out breakfast so that you're not accidentally encouraging a super early morning wake up.
Yep.
Okay.
Same. I think
Like
it's maybe
a consultation.
Oh yeah.
For
a friend. Hold on. I think this could be me. You're brilliant, Kelly.
Can I ask something on the 5:30?
Yeah.
Just you say about turning down the lights in the evening time. What do we do then when it starts being, it's summer and it's bright until 7?
Kind of like closing the curtains over, just kind of, where possible. Some kitchens are all Velux windows and all that kind of stuff, and you can't. But often the family kind of retires into the living room for an hour before before they start their bedtime routine. So you can close the blinds, maybe pull the curtains a little bit to start signal that it's bedtime.
Okay. That's interesting, because I give out to my husband for turning off all the lights, because I have all the lights on in the evening so they can still play.
I think I'm like a vampire. I hate when all the lights are on. I know people come into my house going, why be all candles lighting and everything? Cool. All right, Eva, sorry.
No. So someone praising you, Kelly. You're brilliant, Kelly. Thank you.
I wrote that myself.
No praise like self-praise. Doing great in your routine with my breastfed 3.5-month-old son. Have been wondering about the night feed, an appropriate time to drop it, and the $1 million question, how? Dream feed at 11, wakes to be fed at 3 a.m. and then sleeps till 6:37. So she knows she is lucky. But how to drop the night feed?
Okay, so she's doing so much, so well, except the very last part, which is the most important part. She's letting that baby wake for a feed at 3. You're not going to be able to drop a feed if you keep letting your child wake for it. You have to do a dream feed, and it's a pain in the butt to set an alarm and give a dream feed. And people are like, how am I supposed to set my alarm when my child is there? I'm talking buzz, buzz, buzz. Sometimes if it's a breastfed baby, daddy will set his alarm in the spare room, we'll walk across the hall and go, feed that baby. Okay, and that kind of works. So if you're afraid your alarm will wake your baby, or you're not a light sleeper and you won't hear it, then figure something out. It's only temporary. So set the alarm to stop the behavior growing of wake to feed to sleep. And I said to some of you before, like, I've helped a 2-year-old with 6 full bottles of milk at night. I'm currently helping a 10-month-old fed every 45 minutes at night, breastfed. Okay, but that's how it starts. Okay, so you're doing really well up to the dream feed before midnight, but what you've got going on after that is dangerous territory. Okay, which it can unravel, especially 3 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like the whole 4-month sleep regression, that doesn't exist, is around the corner. So if they don't get this on track, that's going to start unraveling quite quick. So preempt the feed, offer a full feed to start. I don't know what you're offering, but offer a full feed to start, and then over a week to 10 days, reduce, and then drop it, knowing that it's only been a snack and your baby can go without it. If you bring it down to a snack and then baby wakes up at 5, you'll know it's not a hunger related wake up. What happened was your baby then doesn't know how to link the sleep cycles. So that's when sleep training comes in.
Okay. And what about, like, you know, when they, what do you call those? I should know my third child. When they need to eat more because they're growing, what are they called?
Solids.
Not that.
Growth spurt.
That's it. Growth spurts. 3 children, growth spurts. And they want to eat a lot. Jesus Christ, it's been a long day.
When they go through growth spurts, that can kind of catch you off guard, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? You'll have about a day of it, and then you go, okay. And I'm not a fan of those apps. Parents are like, the app tells me they're in the middle of a leap. I'm like, shit, excuse me. I don't care what the app says, okay? If they are, they aren't, they still need sleep, okay? It can be trickier when they're going through a little leap, but it's not that it can't be done. Sure, look at all the babies in all the different age groups that I help. They're all going through something, okay? Teething, you know, rolling, starting to pull up on the bars, the cot, standing, talking. They're always going to be going through something, but they still have to sleep. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, growth spurts. So if I'm doing maternity with a baby and then they just kind of go a little bit haywire, I'm like, what's going on? The next day I'm like, okay, I think maybe we're going through a little growth spurt. I try to top them up or offer them more at the feed time rather than kind of going, yesterday I fed you at 7:30 and at 9:30 you were shouting at me. So I try to offer, and even with a breastfed baby, mama might give both boobs, so I'll give the baba to mama, and I'll take a tiny bit of express milk out of the fridge, and I'll be like, I'll just offer it after the feed, immediately after feed, to see if they're still hungry, rather than kind of my whole day going off track. But it only lasts a couple of days, like, you know, we blame a lot of these things for bad days, you know. They're always going to go through something, so you just get back on track as soon as you can. If you identify that they're going through a little growth spurt and they're a bit hungry, fine, that's grand. Top them up in that moment.
Maybe they're just having a bad day. Like,
they're not little robots that we can...
I've been in a Fowler for 37 years, so like my kids have the odd bad day.
They can have one bad day.
I get it.
But yeah, like, you do get people. I had a woman in Dubai, and she emailed me after we finished sleep training, and she was like, Kelly, he was awake for 40 minutes last night. I was like, oh God, okay. And what happened? He went back to sleep. And I went, okay, and what's the problem? You know, you know, was he happy the next day? Yes. Okay. And why are you emailing? Okay. You know, they panic. Oh God. Okay.
We're afraid they'll go back.
Like, we wake up sometimes in the middle of the night and we're like, why am I awake? You know, Sarah doesn't. Unless her child's running around the land. But if it's just a couple of days of, you know, they're out of sorts or whatever, don't worry about it. If it starts to really unravel, then I would be like trying to identify why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Next one is from Gillian. Hi Kelly, love to learn about extending daytime naps. 6-month-old will sometimes only nap for 45 minutes, while other times she'll nap for 2 hours.
Okay. Right. So I probably said what I'm about to say to all of you. Okay. If your baba only sleeps 45 minutes and you take them up, you're only going to get 45 minutes. Okay. You're encouraging that short sleep cycle. So if you put them into the cot knowing that, then that's all you're going to get. So don't expect any more. You need to reset the body clock without sleep training. Okay. So where does your baby sleep? Do they sleep on the bed with you really well, on the couch with you really well, out in the buggy really well? Do that. Set the body clock to get your long nap, and then bring that nap into the bedroom. Okay, so it's all about setting body clock so you can go, I know you can do 2 hours. It's just I've been walking the streets with you. Now we're going to bring that nap into the bedroom. I do have moms who are like, they don't sleep in the buggy. They're too curious. Like, well, where do they sleep? Well, they sleep if I lie on the bed next to them and rub their bottom or their head or their back. Okay, I want you to do that for a week. Enjoy your nap. Okay, so, and they do it and they set the body clock, and then we bring that nap into the cot, and it's so much easier. But you can't expect that child to do 2 hours in the cot just magically one day. You have to. That's why with the Let's Get Started, the teeny tinies that I help, you do that from very early on. you encourage that. As I was saying to you, like, my best friend's child is 3 years old, still sleeps 2 hours in a day and 12 hours at night. Many of the children that I've nannied for still kept their 2-hour nap close to 3 years old and 12 hours at night. But they were never sleep trained. They were guided from that from very early on. I did a close off call with the Let's Get Started, and don't mind naming her because she put a review up. Her name is Zara. We started at 6 weeks old. All our friends like, it's too young, shouldn't do it. Okay. At 12 weeks old, the child is sleeping 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, 1 hour in the evening, sleeps all night long, never sleep trained. And she probably will never be sleep trained. No sleep aids, waves to her night nights, and walks. She goes, Kelly, I can't believe it. You know,
Why
so
did we wait? Why did
Huh?
we wait? Why did we wait?
why
so
did
long?
we wait? Well, I think she just heard from friends, and she was like, how soon? Some parents are like, I love my sleep, and I know I want to be a parent. And then others are like, at 9 months old, am I being selfish because I want my sleep back? You know,
Yeah.
whatever works for you, you know. Your child is ready when you're ready. You're not sleep training them, you're guiding them and hoping that it will work. But if you've got reflux as an issue, it's not going to be as simple, but it doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See?
Cool.
Who's next to me? No, not me.
I think I'm next. I have to go into. Can you start sleep shaping routine with a newborn, putting them down at 7ish after feed, waking at 7 a.m. no matter what time, what the night was like?
This
Can you do the 7 to 7 basically with a newborn?
this sleep shaping, it's not language that I use. I guide the baby on, yes, just like the example I gave you. How old is that baby? 7 weeks?
It doesn't. Yeah. No, it's newborn.
Newborn. See, you can literally keep your baby in darkness from 7 to 7 from newborn to help set the body clock. Now, they don't start to produce melatonin until 12 weeks old, but it's no harm whatsoever. I'm not saying to go up to the room. Okay, you can have them downstairs in the living room with you in the bassinet with the hood up. So they're here beside you on the couch, but they're in darkness, but you can keep an eye on them. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, you can start doing their bedtime routine upstairs. So from very early on, you can start. For the first 6 weeks, I kind of say, give baby what they need when they need it. And then I say, try to start spacing your feeds gently, and encouraging the babies that tiny sleep a lot unless they've got issues. So just, we want them to sleep a lot at the times that are most suitable.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, cool. It is me. And this will be like our chat Freddie as well. Our 20-month-old girl wakes crying at the same time every night around 11:30. She goes down to bed at 7. We can't figure out what's causing her to wake at roughly the same time every night.
Well, it doesn't say if she's napping, so she still needs a nap in the middle of the day. Lots of children in that age group have a morning nap and have nothing else for the rest of the day. So their wake window from their nap to bedtime is far too long. You know, so that's what I often find with that age group, or maybe even with creche children. Often the best nap you can get in a creche, the best, will be a 12 to 2, which means that your wake window from the end of that nap, 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock, is too long. And you often have to put creche children to bed at 6:15, so they're not overtired going to bed. When a child wakes up before midnight like that, it's one or two things. She went to bed overtired, or she went to bed with sleep assistance, the Dodie, the arms, rocking, boppy, whatever. So it's one of those two things.
Yeah, but like our guy Freddie, he is just gone 1, but he'd kind of wake at around 10 to 11 every night, chat for kind of 10 minutes and go back to sleep. So obviously, like, I don't even listen to him anymore. That's kind of just his habit. So some of them kind of just would wake a little bit, kind of.
Every baby wakes in the middle of the night. You know, it's the prolonged wakes or distress wakes.
Yeah,
so,
right.
you know, when babies wake and chat, he could be like having a windy bottom or doing a wee-wees, who knows, all right? So, but the fact that he can chat and put himself back to sleep without stress and without assistance means he's sleep trained. Okay, so, you know, I do get parents go, they were awake for half an hour in the middle of the night. I'm like, if they're happy the next day and they can make their naps and they're feeding well, I wouldn't worry. if they're having parties for like prolonged periods at night, then we have to go, right, we need to either shave time off the nap or fix where our nap is and identify why they're having these parties, because they're losing quality sleep time that they need at night. And the longer you leave those prolonged parties go, the more difficult they are to fix. So yeah, the odd kind of like wake up, and sometimes you hear your babas wake up and you're not even like fully conscious, and by the time you do come around, they're gone back to sleep. You're like, nice one, dude, you woke me up.
Normal, grand. Yeah, perfect. Cheers, Kelly.
For Carly,
Come
We
here.
have
How long have we been on this? Does our recording say?
No.
No. It's about an hour now, I think. Is it?
I think we're only on.
we didn't start straight away at 8 o'clock, and it's
20
10 past 9.
did we? Quarter past.
Yeah.
It's about 40, 50 minutes probably, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep going. We have a few questions to get through, so we'll keep going. If you ladies are okay to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a current sleepy star who's just turned 1 and has started crash. He's sleeping for them in crash, but struggling to get length on afternoon nap. At home, he'd do 2 hours, but in crash, he'd only do 30 to 45 minutes. Having to bring bedtime forward to 6. Will the afternoon nap eventually lengthen? Any tips?
Okay, well, tips for parents who aren't yet in that situation. When you get your naps, you often darken the room to get the naps, like pitch dark, and any of you that were struggling with your naps, I'm like, is the room pitch dark? Okay, so we use darkness to achieve the nap and quietness to achieve nap. I don't use noise aids, only as part of sleep training as a last resort, but not long term. But once your child is sleeping well, and if you ladies aren't doing this, then I suggest that you do it so you flexible sleepers, not that you're on a holiday anytime soon, but start to bring a little bit of light into the room for the nap, okay? Also put your TV or your radio on in the room next door. So they're not children who'll only sleep in a dark room with white noise blaring in their ears and all the rest, because that child's really going to struggle if they go to crash at 1 year. Okay, so when you get your good naps, start to make them more flexible naps. Nap out twice a week if you can, okay? But also bring a little bit of light, tiny bit of light in, and a bit of noise, and then hard as the days go on, higher the noise, put on my kids' TV or something, and bring a little bit more light into the room. And if they do have a bump in the road, darken it back up again, okay, but try again a couple of weeks later. For this family, I would say maybe ask them to, it could be a case that child, I'd say that child is 1, yeah?
Yeah.
So that child is 1. I bet you that crash dropped the morning nap and is now napping that child at 12 o'clock. So they have dinner at 11:30. Who has dinner at 11:30? Every crash in Dublin apparently. But they dinner at 11:30 and they put them down for their nap at 12. I've worked in crashes. It's often just the way the rooms rotate, it just is what it is. But they put them down for their nap at 12. They're not tired enough for their nap at 12 if they've been awake since 7. Okay, they could go to 1. So he could just be having a short nap because he's going down early. Maybe ask the crash, can you put him down last in this group? So, maybe he's like the last in the group. Could you also, when he wakes up, ask him to have quiet time? No, head down, sleepies. Rather than in the crash, I've seen it myself where one child will wake up and you're afraid they're going to wake the other babas in the room. So whipped out, okay, to protect the others, and whipped out and given a cracker, which also means that you set a hunger habit for that hour of sleep, because they then expect that cracker, but they give the cracker to keep that bubba quiet so they don't wake the other children up. So find out what happens when your child does wake up to crash. Are they encouraging more sleep? Are they accidentally discouraging it by feeding your child, giving them a drink or giving them a cracker or something? But also maybe they're just putting them down too early. And I think I just need to open like a load of crashes and they'll all be on like my schedule.
One can
Oh no, go ahead.
If this child's just turned 1, so you're saying like a 1 o'clock nap for a 1-year-old with no morning nap?
No, like that child still needs a morning. A 1-year-old who's cared for at home should still have about a half an hour in the morning. But crashes find it very difficult to have a short morning nap, because by the time they get them all down, it's time to get them up, and then they're napping them again at 12, so they're not tired. So they choose the nap which will go easier, which is the later nap. But
Okay.
that means they drop the morning nap and they're not tired enough for it, but then they also wake up early and you're getting handed back a tired monkey. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
You know, at 5:30 when you finish work and you're collecting your child from a crash, and I've lots of people that are, you know, frontliners at the minute, and their children are in crashes, and they dying to see their child, you know, hard day work, dying to see their child, and they're getting handed back an angry octopus, you know, just doesn't know what they want, you know, because their nap was too short or ran too early in the day.
And would you give them 10 minutes sleep, Kelly, in the car on the way home? Like if they're getting into the car deranged and it's 5 o'clock, 5:15, and they can't make it home till after 6, like, are you giving them 10 minutes in the car? Like,
I'd offer quiet time, and if they fell asleep, I'd give them 15-20 minutes, but you would have to push bedtime out then. Okay, but so you could experiment with it if you offered the mini emergency cat nap and they took it and bedtime was hideous, then no, just offer them quiet time. So some children they walk to the crash and they walk home from the crash, so as in like in the buggy and stuff, face them to you, engage with them, go, what did you do today? Oh, look at the doggy over there, talk to them. So they're having quiet time because they've been in Disneyland all day long. We play music, we'll play Play-Doh, we do this, we'll do that, the other so all of their senses are being stimulated for hours. And I know they have quiet time, they've stories and they've songs and all the rest, but it's a lot for a little mind to handle. So you're getting handed back a tired little monkey.
Yeah, like our crash is good. Like, you know, if you have like a 1-year-old just heading to crash now that's been blasted white noise at home with their Snuggie and their grow bag and this lovely room, like, will they play ball with you? Like, can you say, listen, will you throw him into that grow bag and give him that Snuggie? Like, they
definitely won't play white noise. Okay, and for many reasons I don't use those kind of sleep aids, and but most crashes will take the grow bags off you because they can't keep blankies up, and it's a good sleep cue and association. Your child's bedtime routine doesn't have to be the same as it is at home. Your home routine is your home routine, your crash routine is your crash routine. Often in crash it's monkey see, monkey do. They see the other children and they follow suit. So they don't, you know, they need to read Good Night Moon and you have to pat them on the back 5 times. No. All right, they do their own thing, leave it alone. But Snuggie teddies, most crashes will allow them to have their comforter just at the sleepy time. I have heard crashes who don't allow the Snuggie teddy because of COVID, the comforter, but do allow the Dodies. I'm like, you know, so, but most crashes, when you talk to me, say they associate the Snuggie teddy with sleep. So please offer it as part of the nap and they're fine. Now, don't get me wrong, I have got children who sleep 2.5 hours in the crash, but they've been on their routine from very early on, so they're strong sleepers. If you come to me at 9 months old and we're just getting our nap, then you pop them into the crash at 1, they haven't really had it that long in their life, so it's going to be a bit hit and miss.
Hard for a while, yeah. I die. I'd be an emotional wreck, like. I get home, please sleep today.
Well, you know, it must be really tough for parents, you know, when you pick them up and they read off the chart and they're like, you ate half his dinner and 20 minutes today. You're like, sorry?
To see.
Could you imagine? You'd be like, sorry? Because you're the one that might have to deal with the consequence of that at nighttime. Now, I'm sure they tried their best and all the rest, but it's not ideal, but it is what it is, you know, as part of having a child in this, you know, in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. Mortgage repayment. How we go to work. Yeah. Right. I to ask one. I can't remember who's next. Is it me?
She's just doing her own thing over there.
I'm next. 16. Oh, are you next, Sarah, or me? I think I'm next. The 16-week-old will not nap more than 30 minutes in her cot during the day. She goes down with a little help, but no dummy. Blinds down, white noise on, but wakes after 30 minutes and impossible to resettle. Sleeps no problem in car or pram. How do I improve naps in the cot?
So that's very similar to the 6-month-old that we spoke about. Basically do the same thing. So she's saying she doesn't go down with a dummy. Okay, dummies. dummies are definitely can contribute to sleep issues. But so what is she going to sleep with? Rocking, arms, boob, bottle? You know, when if she's having one sleep cycle and that's not there, that's why she's waking up. And probably not waking up happy. You all know when your bubbas wake up happy from a nap, you're like, brilliant, you're rested. When you hear you're like, what's going, you're not ready to get up, you know. So often with a child who's not sleep trained or has a sleep aid will wake up screaming because they're like, I'm still tired and that Dodie's gone, or I was being rocked and now I'm not being rocked. So yeah, I would say, how is that baba gone down, and reset the sleep cycles just like the 6-month-old. Use the buggy, set the body clock, and then bring that nap into the room,
into the bedroom.
Ooh.
Who's next? I forget.
It's you.
What day is it? What day? This one I'm interested in. Hi Kelly, we have a sleepy star, age 2.5, now resisting his afternoon nap. Oh my god, I die. Some days it's okay, some days not, no reason, but he's like a maniac come 5 o'clock on the day there is no nap. Any tips? Thanks a million.
That's from
Okay, so 2.5, they have words. They, you know, I'm not tired, I'm hungry, I want to play. I don't know. So it gets trickier. They're testing boundaries. You know if they need more sleep or not. And as I said, most children need that nap until close to 3. Some children, late 2s, it'll go down to 45 minutes, but they still need it so they don't go to bed overtired. Maybe offered slightly later, maybe they're not ready to go down, or a 2.5-year-old is super active. Maybe they're overtired when you're offering it. And as you know, I'm a strong believer of mimicking bedtime for nap. Your child doesn't need to know they're going out for 2 hours or 12 hours. You just need to tell them that it's sleepy time. Okay. If your child's resisting the nap, there's a good chance bedtime is going to be the next one. Okay, so if you're like, no, it's time to sleep, time to sleep, time to sleep. Okay, come on, out you go. What's going to happen at bedtime in a few weeks? Same thing. Okay.
So like Kelly, what's your kind of got like sweet spot for like a nap for a 2.5-year-old is kind of messing around a little bit? Like, are you like half?
It depends on how active they are. Like if they're stuck in the house and you're just not doing that much, then I'd go for 1, you know, or around 1:30. Whereas if they're go from 7, I'd still be going from the lunch table up for the nap. And it's okay to revisit a little bit of basic sleep training. That's Sleepy Star. So now, when you sleep train a child at a young age, like 6 months, 8 months, that's not the same method as a 2-year-old. All right. Yeah. So they have the skill to go asleep, but using the sleep training techniques that you may have used on a young baby are null and void. They won't work anymore. I'm not going to go into sleep training because some parents will jump the gun and be like, right, we'll get the stopwatch out and we're doing this. Sleep training is the last resort. You have to fix the routine first, offer the source of comfort. But a little bit of sleep training for that baby will get that bubble back on track, get your nap back. When a child is starting to drop that nap and you're like, you know what, we're just going to choose our battles here. You could have lunch and have some cuddles on the couch after lunch as quiet time instead of the nap, like an audiobook, and we just sit there together and listen to the book, and sometimes they'll nod off and sometimes they won't, but that becomes part of their routine. When you drop a nap, you have to offer quiet time in its place until your child has adjusted. So parents drop the nap and they're like, oh, they go all the way from 7 to 7. No, they can't. I can hardly go 7 to 7, you know. So they need the quiet time where the nap used to be until they can cope. And something like an audio book, or you sitting on the couch with them and reading that book. And if they nod off, that's fine. So that would be closer to the 3. At 2.5, I would be saying you still got time in the cot in the bedroom. So don't give up. And call me if you need to.
And would you give it a few weeks, Kelly? Would you say, listen, we'll give it 2 weeks of fighting this nap and it's gone? Or like how long?
No, if you're not getting it, the longer you wait, the higher chance is that you'll lose it completely. So I think one of you said that like you dropped your nap early and you're like, it was Sarah, because you potty training on the go, new baby on the go, you'd loads of things, but potentially if you didn't, you might have been able to get more time out of that. Often parents drop the nap, they're like, yeah, I dropped the nap and it's great, but like that, at 5:30, get down off that, don't be doing that. Just giving out to them, it's not their fault, they're tired, they didn't have the nap and they weren't ready to drop the nap. So, you know, choose your battles. Would you like to have a nice pleasant evening with your child and they've had a nap, or, you know, you've dropped the nap and then your evenings you're just looking at the clock going, when's bedtime?
Yeah.
You know, so I'd say try get them back into the cot, and if it doesn't work, email Shan.
Do any of them ever nap till they're 5? Like, that's what
I know some adults that would love a nap in the day.
that'd be nice. I'm holding out for that.
I think the Spanish have it right with their siestas and fairness.
Yes.
Well, you know, like a lot of their children, like I work all over the world, a lot of their children don't go to bed at 10 o'clock at night because they whopper naps in the day. But sleep complements sleep. So if that suits your lifestyle and your family, see the way we go on holidays, like that's awful. There's a child running around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. They might have had 4 hours in the middle of the day, you know, so they might only need 10 hours at night. So don't be quick to kind of jump the gun. Yeah.
This one is, I have my own question about this, so I'm going to tie in with it. Hi Kelly, do you need to wait until baby can talk before potty training? 19-month-old little girl babbles but no proper words yet. When she does number 2, she has her little signs, and I'm wondering if I should try and put her on the toilet with baby insert seat. I think I'd rather train straight to toilet if possible. She's shown interest in the toilet and claps when it's flushed. Don't know if it's too early. When she does have a dirty nappy, she comes to me straight away and wants a nappy change. Any advice? And so I'm the same in that Connor is 2. He just takes his nappy off. Like, it's extremely inconvenient for me, to be honest. Like, if I do anything, he's in the nip. Like, so he takes the nappy off if it's dirty. He takes the nappy off sometimes if it's clean. But then, like, he can just go on the floor. But he obviously hates having a dirty nappy, but it feels instinctively like, because he's 2, and he's not 2 and a bit, he was 2 like last week, so he's just 2.
You were saying that he has words. He's got good verbal communication.
He has sentences now. Actually, we counted them now, 4-word sentences.
So I would wait until a child can communicate what's going on. And there's a lot of parents who are like, oh, I'll teach them signs and they'll ask for water or they'll ask for the toilet and stuff. But if you try to potty train and it doesn't work, the next time round is tough. So you want to be able to say, like, when I start with potty training, I'm like, let's go wee wees. Okay, so we all go to the wee wees and we do our business, and yay, we go through the steps and we talk it through. But once they get the hang of it, you say, do you need to go wee wees? Okay, if you just got yes and no, you know, or you want to kind of wait to kind of like, no wee wees yet, or, you know, have more verbal communication that they can tell you, and also that you can explain to them when they have an accident. Oh, you had an accident. We don't put our wee wees in there. Where do we put our wee wees? Into the toilet. So where do we put our wee wees so that they repeat? In my experience, any child that I have potty trained, and I have potty trained younger children, but they were you know, quite advanced, and they usually have older siblings as well, so they're like monkey see, monkey do, and they're catching on pretty quick. But all of the children I've ever potty trained had good verbal communication before we started. So I wouldn't be jumping into it too quick, you know. Great that she gets excited by the toilet being flushed, you know, but like, in all fairness, they get excited by the bus going by. So
Kelly, like, can you dabble in the potty training? Can you be like, here, there's the potty, and listen, you sit in the evening, no bothers, no pressure, like, we're not potty training.
I wouldn't confuse them. What I would kind of do is, like, I do the bath as part of the bedtime routine. I offered the toilet, and that's how I kind of start getting ready for toilet training. They're naked in the bathroom with the door closed. Do you want to try a wee wee in the Lulu before you get into the bath? They'd be like, yeah, or else no. And as soon as they get into the bath, they wee, you know, and you're like, oh, you did the wee. You're supposed to put your wee wees over there. Okay. So, or they might go in the loo and do their wee wees, and that's a sign that they are getting close, you know. So, but no, I'm not a fan of leaving the potty in the living room. we want to make a location association. Where do we want them to go to the toilet? Into the bathroom. Sarah, for you, with him stripping off naked, you know, like, what do you say when the nappy comes off or there's a dirty nappy?
I say,
pick it up.
it depends. Like, sometimes I find the nappy and he's done a poo on the floor, so I say different things in that situation. In the situation where I just find a clean nappy that I've like oftentimes you would literally put the nappy on him. He sits down on the floor, he takes his socks off, he takes his trousers off, he snaps open the thing, takes that up, takes the nappy off and runs off, and he's delighted with himself. Listen, he loves being in the nude. He did not get it from me. That's all.
I'd say one word: dungarees. Okay.
Yeah, but I have the dungarees, but they have the pops, and he gets them open.
You get the pops open.
Oshkosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The little they're really cute.
I love the little Oshkosh ones. They're gorgeous. I would kind of say, like, if there is a poopy on the floor or whatever, you know, address it, and I try and catch him before the nappy comes off to stop that happening as such, you know. So like having little dungarees that don't have the poppers, you know, so that if you see him out, you go, what are you doing? No, we don't take our clothes off. Okay. If you feel like he's ready, then I'd be like, Mammy will bring you to the potty. Okay, so that you're in charge of it. It could just be a case at this age he's looking for attention. You know, they want any attention, negative or positive. So it could be sometimes they just look for your reaction. It's even when they're teeny tiny, they throw something onto the floor and then they look at you and you're like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? So it could be that he's getting a reaction. Maybe it's become a game. But I would say if you did find an accident on the floor, I'd bring him over and go, we don't do that on the floor. We do that in the Lulu. Okay. And, you know, go from there. But acting preemptively is probably, if possible. But I know you can't have eyes in the back of your head. You know, you turn around and the accident's done. You're like, So, you know, maybe he is starting to show you signs that he's ready, but you'd have to have the communication. So I'm not sure by the sound of it if he is or not, or if he's just testing or experimenting, or
I think if he is, maybe it's another 2 or 3 months anyway.
Yeah, but it's probably as well, because he's an older brother in the house, it's very much he wants to kind of, you know, or he just loves to be naked.
He didn't lift up off the stones. That's all.
Cool. All right, Siobhan.
Yeah. Hi, Kelly. 17-week-old, wondering how many naps should she have? How long should each be? And at what age do you drop naps, please?
Okay, 17-week-olds in close to 2 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours in the afternoon, and 45 minutes to an hour in the evening. So 3 main, I work off 3 main naps because it's easier to navigate the feeds. And if a baby is breastfed, if they've woken up from their nap at 9, but their feed is until 10:30, they'll fall asleep on the 10:30 feed because it's coming to the end of their wake window and breastfeeding is hard work. So if you let them nap as close as possible to the next feed, they've got energy to feed and you've got quality time with them. Often a child who has a short nap, you have them up and a half an hour later, you're like, you're still tired. You know, you're only getting a half an hour of a happy bubba and then they're cranky again. So they need, and that might sound like that's a lot of sleep. They need a lot of sleep at a young age. Your morning nap drops away between 13 and 15 months old. Your afternoon nap stays there till they're 3. Your cat nap in the evening stays there until 6-7 months old. Your morning nap around 6 months old, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. At 9 months old, it's 45 minutes. At 12 months old, it's about half an hour. Now, these are about, guys, okay? Don't be like, oh, okay, so half an hour. Every child is different. So, and then it kind of just turns into, after 12 months, I generally speaking don't morning nap in the cot because it's so short. By the time they go asleep, it's time to get them up or you'll ruin your next nap. So your morning nap shrinks away, it turns into a little power nap on the way to the shop or whatever it may be, and your big nap says the same. So that's kind of where your naps are.
Okay.
Oh, that's freaking me out now. You start waking this child in the morning, he's like about an hour and a half in the morning. He's like, I'm just
see that's they're kind of like the foundations I would They're foundations, but parents get fixated. When we start with a routine, I kind of like in and around this, in and around that, try that and see what happens. And then the parent gives me feedback and I'm like, okay, we need to shorten the morning nap, or we need to give them more in the morning nap. They can't make the next nap. So they're the foundations we start with. It's plan A. Often we have to get to plan C before we actually get what works for the baba, but we always get there. Okay, so sometimes we take the scenic route, but we get there. Emma, was it you that had to nap going around some pond or something? Yeah. You were like, I'm doing laps of the pond.
And I was ranting down the phone to you, Kelly. I was like, the fucking ducks. If I see the fucking ducks again. I was like walking around the lake like a mad woman with white noise blaring over the bucket. That was me.
That was you. And that's the thing, most parents that like we set the routine, I'm like, how do they nap? They'll nap in the buggy or the car. The car's not safe for long naps, so especially as part of like a routine, unless you're like you have to go down from Dublin to Sligo or something like that, you've got family there, you have to nap them in the car. But I have so many parents who are like, daddy's driving around the Wicklow Mountains at 4 a.m. with that child just to get them back to sleep. I'm like, that's not safe for daddy or baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't know where I was going with that. Kind of lost train of thought.
Like we're doing like a 5 kilometer loop now, just round and round.
Yeah.
No one's going to the Wicklow Mountains. Nobody.
But I like anything that I ask parents to do, I have done myself. Like I've walked around, like I worked a lot in Dubai. I've got red hair, guys. I'm not supposed to be in Dubai. Like, I look at the sun and I 30-degree burns. I walk around lobbies of like hotels and complexes and stuff, and like you can see the people on reception going, something wrong. Or Monaco is not buggy friendly. Okay, it's not buggy friendly. It's not. Anyway, I could tell you every back street in Monaco. I have walked babas just to set the routines, and then I'm like, I can decide if I want to nap them at home or nap them out in the buggy. So you do what you have to do to get the nap, to set the body clock, and then you've got the flexibility.
Yeah. But clock, right? This is me. Hold on, shite, phone's closed. The 2.5-year-old needs to have someone to help her fall asleep, and she's been waking twice a night crying. Either myself or my husband are going in to wake, or so as not to wake our little boy. Any recommendations on either would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so she's too young.
I actually have also just to tie in with that, because one of my friends, Aoife, I told her we were doing this, and it's nearly exactly the same. How to get an 18-month-old who's had 12 months of being snuggled to sleep and snuggled back to sleep in the middle of the night to magically learn sleep independence. To be fair, we knew we were creating a monster.
So first thing we need to do is introduce a source of comfort. Okay, parents been present for bedtime and been present to go back to sleep. So your Snuggie Teddy, a 2-year-old, is like a little teddy from like your elbow to your wrist, a little monkey, a little unicorn, whatever floats your boat. Okay, but that's their friend. Introduce the friend for a week to 2 weeks. Bring the friend to the park, on the swings, at the lunch table. We talk about the friend a lot. One story for the baba, one story for the unicorn. So we really get that friend in there before parents take a step back. So we introduce the friend. Also, we have to see, is there still a nap there? Because if there isn't, that child's going to be overtired going to bed. So we might need to adjust the bedtime. But a 2.5-year-old, the grow clock is not going to work. Closer to 3, the grow clock works. So you say, Mama and Dada come back when the sun come up, and you do that whilst going asleep with them to teach them over. And so we're going to close our eyes, and Mama and Dada come back when the sun come up. And when they call out in the middle of the night, you can go, the moon is still on, now let's go back to sleep. So you offer assistance to sleep until they got it, and then you take the assistance away. So you're like, no, Mama's going to stay in her bed, but I will be back when the sun comes up, and they believe you. Okay. Again, 2.5-year-olds, they're not as responsive to the reward chart. You're kind of wasting your time, but they are very responsive to sleep training. But you can only sleep train when they're little buddies in there and you know where their sleep point is. And it is a lot of in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, to show them mama comes back with sleep time, mama comes back with a sleep time, mama comes back with sleep time, and mama's no crack. Okay. And when they wake up in the middle of the night, you do the same. Mama comes back with sleep time, mama comes back. So you're in and out at timed intervals to send the message. And they're so cute. Like literally a 2.5-year-old is usually sleep trained in one night. They pick it up when you stay strong. But it's that be aware. What I would say to parents of young children, be careful if you're bed sharing and then you're like, at what point do we step back? Like 2.5 years, you know, by all means enjoy the cuddles, but have a plan. How are we going to kind of, don't, like, no one says, you know what, we'll spend a fortune on a sleep consultant at this age group and make our child, you know, go through a little bit of stress and stuff. So you know, have a plan. If you feel like that's the route you're going down, the earlier you stop it, the better. It's not going to fix itself. Like, I have never met someone who said, oh yeah, I used to have them in the bed with me until they were 18 months old, and then I just decided it wasn't work for us anymore and I put them into the cot. Like, that's not going to happen. Okay, they don't know any different. You know, that's what you've taught them is okay and it's normal, and it is okay and normal. But if you're getting like kicked in the face and punched in the tummy and no one's getting solid sleep, you know, because you've a child rolling over you and you're like, okay, now enough is enough, you're getting out, then you have to possibly think of sleep training, and no one wants to sleep train.
No, it's not fun.
It's not fun.
But it's worth
it. It's the last resort. It is over quite quickly, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be the way.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Cool. Is there any more?
I think that's it.
Are we finished?
I think we're finished.
Okay, well, we had a lot of questions come in, but there were a lot of repeats. So I did edit the ones some came in on Facebook, some came in on Instagram. So there was repeats there. And I also kind of picked the ones that I thought were most relevant for the majority, because, you know, but hopefully, you know, we've helped a few people by having this chat. And sure, what else we got to be doing? Have you anything you would like to add?
No, just that, like, I just really feel for parents and lockdown and like sleep deprived. Like, I think if I was coming to you, Kelly, now, like where I was with Freddie at 6.5 months old, I just think doing it like now would just be so much harder. Like, you know, it's incredibly hard. And I just really feel for parents who are so sleep deprived now, because like I'm sleeping every night and I'm still absolutely deranged. Like, you know, like
I kind of a nice anchor. Do you not think that, like, when your kids are sleep deprived, like lots of people that I know had no kids, especially during the first lockdown, were like going to bed at 4 a.m, getting up at 3. We kept our routine because, and so we like never got into the habit of like watching Netflix until 5 a.m. because we've got no work, because we just, it was kind of a nice anchor.
You're sleep trained as well. I feel sorry for parents of their first baba in lockdown, because it, you know, they can't just like call their mom and go, can you help me for a night, can you come and stay over? It must be so tough. You know, you can't go meet your girlfriends and sit in the Voca for 2 hours and, you know, that kind of thing, eat cake and drink coffee and stuff, like things that they will probably just miss that with their first child. It's just not going to happen. But I think because there's not as much support there now, it must be really tough. So, and my thing is, it's okay to ask for help, you know. There's no shame in it, you know. Like, no one rings me for the crack, like they ring me because they're desperate.
I do.
Oh, yeah. But generally speaking, you know, they're emailing poor Shan at 4 a.m. with you know, cries of desperation. And it's not always mommy. Often it's daddy kind of going, my wife's breastfeeding the baby, I need to give her a break, but the baby won't settle for me. Can you help us? Because, you know, so it's not just, you know, baby won't sleep. It's often like, one partner's drained and the other partner wants to help and can't help, or it's tough going. Yeah, and you don't want to be telling, like, if you've your first baby, you don't want to be ringing your mom in tears, God, I can't go, because then she's going to be worried about you and the baby and everything. So I'd say there's a lot of people keeping things inside, and I've had a good few meltdowns on the phone over the past few weeks, and I'm delighted that they can, say it outside with me, because I'm like, look, we're going to be okay, and all the rest. But it's not like I can say, look, go round to your sisters for the next nap, or bring the cousins around, or it's just not possible. So it is tricky.
I think having a baby, like especially your first baby, is one of the more like unexpectedly isolating things you'll do. So if you're having an isolating experience within the most self-isolating experience in the history of the world, it's pretty tough going.
I think like a lot of moms have this thing in their head, like I've gone away and set up nurseries for children and all the rest, but a lot of first babies, when I say, they're in the co-sleeper in the parents' room, like, and have they got their own room? And it, that's where the laundry goes, or it's beautiful and it hasn't been touched and it's gathering dust. It's I think what you think your first baby's going to be is like a beautiful buggy, and you're going to go for your walks, and baby's going to sleep, and you put them to bed at night, and all lovely, and the reality is just something different, so I think these kind of things are good, because it tells parents, I had a 3-month-old who was awake every 45 minutes, and that's just, some parents are lucky and they don't. And then other parents have more difficult situations. So you're not doing anything wrong. It's just that maybe your naps are not in the right place, or your feeds aren't. But the internet is a minefield. If you Google how much my baby feed or sleep, you come off and you're like frazzled.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You should do one of those, those pictures that are like what I think I do, or like, so it should be like what I thought parenting would be like, what parenting actually is like. So I thought the same, like I thought I'd be like meeting people for coffee in Avoca, such a nice buggy or whatever, but like the first 6 months of my firstborn's life was mostly me crying on the phone to VHI because I couldn't remember my date of birth because I was so tired.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember a year? I was like, no. Like, so, not what
I think there's a lot of moms out there now, like on Instagram and stuff, and they're actually saying it how it is going. Covered in spit, haven't washed my hair in 4 days. That is what it is. Whereas, if I see like, the makeup done and, everything's beautiful and all the rest, I'm just like, I hope that's the way for you, but I'm kind of doubting unless you're like the exception to the rule. A lot of effort went into that photo is all I'm trying to say. Okay, well look, ladies, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for helping me do this. I'm brutal when I'm left to my own devices, and I get so many people asking me to do these things, but it's allocating the time, and it's Shan is hilarious. Shan's like, what did she say? She's like, start yourself up, put a bit of makeup on, and make a video. And I'm like, no, I've been on calls all day and reports to do, and I'm texting people and all the rest, and it feels like an effort to me. I'm not naturally one of these social media people. I was allergic to it for years, but it is a necessary evil in this time. But thank you for making it easier for me to do this. I really appreciate it. And I know that you're probably going to, like, any blip that you have, like, lash them in a taxi and send them over to me. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, well, look, we'll end this now. Thanks, ladies. And hopefully we'll get to catch up again soon.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
I don't know how to hang up. Our stuff works.